Human trafficking by the U.S. Church of Scientology. Military Tribunal. Before her departure from the compound, she had to appear in an elaborate military tribunal with 5 senior officers of the church. Was Rinder there? She was drilled for more than 4 hours, being reminded of her contractual obligations. The familiar Socratic method commonly used by Scientology. Most importantly, she was told never to discuss any details of her visit to Clearwater with persons other than officers of the church. She was repeatedly told that speaking to her own family was an act of disparaging the church and considered the greatest moral sin. Since her return airline ticket was scheduled for the following year and could not be changed, the only option available was for the church to pay for her return ticket home. Major Engelhard told her that she must work additional hours over a 3-week period to compensate the church for the cost of her ticket. I was trying to remember what that's called. I can't think of it. Bondage, debt bondage. Her 16-hour workdays were now increased to 20 hours per day. The style of her work also intensified, including scrubbing floors. During the conversation where Major Engelhard told her she would need to work for 3 more weeks, she attempted to remind Major Engelhard that according to her agreement with the church, included with her R1 visa invitation, that she had earned $400. He told her that this was not enough to pay for her return ticket home, and besides which the church was not required to give her these monies until she completed her 1-year agreement to work in Clearwater. I think we should tear apart these agreements that Scientology makes people pay, just so we can show all the Scientologists that they're not legally binding. Damn, that would mess them up, wouldn't it? Upon completion of this 3-week period, she was taken to the Miami International Airport and placed on a plane to Budapest, Hungary. She was given $100 cash to use to purchase a ticket from Budapest to St. Petersburg. Where's her kids? Didn't she take her kids with her? Since the cost of the ticket was $100, she was given no extra money to pay for expenses she would have for the layover in Budapest. She was fortunate to meet a friendly Russian-Hungarian businessman on the flight to Budapest who offered her his assistance once they arrived in Budapest. Her daughter met her at the airport upon her arrival back in Russia. So that's one child. Maybe I'm getting her and someone else mixed up. I thought she had brought the kids with her. I'm going to have to go back and look. She was 25 pounds lighter than she had been when she left Russia 11 weeks earlier. So that's just a little over 2 months. According to interviews with her daughter, she claimed that her mother looked almost skeletal and that most of her body fat had disappeared. You guys notice even the ones at Blue Building look like that. Thank God those skeletal Scientologists can pay for the LAPD's payout money. It's my opinion. Svetlana was a former member of the Russian Olympic bobsled team and always kept in good physical shape. At 5'4" in height, she weighed less than 100 pounds when she returned to Russia in April 1998. In July 1998, Svetlana paid a visit to the U.S. Consulate commercial section, which was then located with the Grand Europe Hotel in downtown St. Petersburg. The head of the visa section came to meet her there. Svetlana offered a complete detailed account of what she had experienced at the Church of Scientology in Clearwater. Imagine the U.S. Consulate knows all about this stuff. Imagine. The interview was conducted in the Russian language and was tape recorded by the Visa Council. In August 1998, there was an abrupt stoppage of new R1 visas for Scientologists wishing to visit the USA. Somebody got it right. Somebody finally got it right. This stoppage was evident in Russia and throughout the rest of Eastern Europe. Follow-up interview. I had an opportunity to interview Svetlana by telephone on 9 April 2003 to review my notes and to ask her additional questions that would shed more light on the demographics of the other Scientologists that went to the church in Clearwater. She confirmed that she joined the St. Petersburg Church of Scientology in 1994 and was a member until she departed from Clearwater in 1997. She's a prisoner. She was a prisoner. They wouldn't let her leave. During the time she was with the church, she recollects that approximately 25 members of the St. Petersburg Church went to Clearwater on R1 religious worker visas. Of the 25, she specifically recalls that 8 of these were men, and the rest were women. Of these 25 people, none of them returned to the St. Petersburg Church after their departure to America. It's because they were holding their passports, otherwise known as trafficking. She does not recall if any of the people who traveled from St. Petersburg went with their children. She confirmed that the directors of the St. Petersburg Church were very active in convincing their members to raise money and to accept the invitations to go to Clearwater. Why aren't they in jail? I asked her additional questions regarding the memories of her 11-week stay in Clearwater. The other Scientologists she met came from Poland, France, Hungary, Russia, and Mexico. They like to get them from other countries because it's easier to isolate them. You get some American people in there, they'd be like, the F with that. The F with that. There were approximately 100 adults in the group and as many as 75 children. Isn't that great, you guys? U.S. Consulate, U.S. government, Homeland Security, Federal Bureau of Investigation, allegedly, Department of Justice. Huh? Anybody? She reconfirmed that all male children were separated from their mothers and girls were separated from their fathers, forced to live amongst adults of their own sex. I keep thinking that she had a son. I'm going to have to go back and look. The children were treated as adults and expected to accomplish the same tasks. The daily work schedule consisted of a 16-hour shift. 1 hour per day was devoted to English language skills, but these skills were designed only to understand commands given to them as laborers at the church. Like I said, some of these Scientologists get exactly what they deserve. Exactly what they deserve. What she recalls most vividly were words relative to how to march, stand up in formation, and the names of items that they encountered in their daily work, i.e. forward march, stop, left face, right face, and so on. I bet L. Ron Hubbard didn't even know how to do that stuff. Big fat slob that he was. Of the Russians, about 80% did not speak English. Overall, approximately 10% of all the people had some level of command of the English language. We're talking about children, too. None of those people who were in the labor area left this area during the time she was there. Their daily chores were explained to them each morning at formation. There was no social program made available to these workers. So I'm thinking, like the foreign workers, that they're really isolating them times 10. So probably a lot of the public and a lot of the American Scientologists might not even have as much interaction with them, because it's basically like they put these foreign workers like into like their own RPF. And they didn't even do anything wrong. So that's it.